Hi, I'm Carol Ann Ford. I played Susan in Doctor Who. And I've been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast, and it's absolutely amazing. So, goodbye, everybody, and it's been fun talking to you.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 241 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. There's something I've been wanting to talk to you both about, and I know this is a difficult conversation, but I care about you both very much. And I know you care about each other very much, and that's why it's important that we set these boundaries moving forward so we can build an environment where we all feel comfortable, trusted, and open to sharing our feelings. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like we do every week with the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Sally from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thanks episode title too, Rach.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a
If I
plethora
could sing,
yeah.
I would totally sing the song, but
Right.
I
There was
can't.
a plethora of 80s music and songs that you could have picked from, but I like this one the best.
Yeah, it works. It works because it's appropriate for the time period. Well, I don't know exactly when in the 80s Cruel Summer came out, but still.
Close enough, maybe off by 2 years.
But it's an 80s. It's definitely an 80s song.
Yes.
And at least some of the lyrics I think are appropriate, but I can't sing, and I'm not going to play some of it because of copyright. So y'all, you want a soundtrack to go with this episode? Just go to YouTube.
It would fit. It came out in 84, and I think this takes place in 85, so it fits the bill.
Yes.
Even better.
Yep.
Yeah, it does take place in 85 because Back to the Future was referenced quite often, actually.
Yes. We will get to those references, among other things, shortly. First, we need to do just a little bit of news, not a whole lot. So we got a short little teaser and date announcement for season 3 of The Crown. So we're getting our first look at Olivia Colman as Queen Elizabeth II, taking over the role from Claire Foy. And we will get to see how everything goes down on the 17th of November. Is when the season will drop on Netflix. So
yes, and Entertainment Weekly, now monthly, in their September issue has a nice spread on Crown season 3, which I'm starting to make my way through reading.
Yeah. I think it's going to take a little bit getting used to seeing the same characters but played by different people, because it's unlike Doctor Who where the doctor changes, but it's just the doctor changes. In this case, it's like everybody that we know. All the major characters are changing because we've moved forward in time, and they need people that look closer to the appropriate age. In this case, we're going the season is going to cover the rest of the 60s and going into the 70s of the royal family. So Olivia Colman is taking over the role of Queen Elizabeth from Claire Foy. Tobias Menzies, who, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, know him as Edmund Tully, is going to be playing Prince Philip, taking over for Matt Smith, and of all people, Helena Bonham Carter is taking over the role of Princess Margaret from Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah. I was like, okay. Then I saw the picture, I'm like, okay, yep, that works.
Yep.
And those Outlander fans, just get over it. He's not Black Jack Randall. He's not Frank.
Yeah.
Different character entirely.
So that should be. Oh, I did not know she was going to be in it too. Huh. Apparently, Gillian Anderson's going to be playing Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, at least according to IMDb, which is so reliable. So.
Yeah, they can be about 50 at times, some more, some less.
Yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see.
And they're also showing her for 2020, not 2019, which probably means season 4.
Yeah.
Instead, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because probably later 80s, mid 80s or 80s.
Yeah, well, we'll start getting into the 80s and the introduction of Princess Diana and all that. So, but that won't be until season 4 when they start getting into the 80s. So,
have they announced season 4?
No, I don't think so. But they've got people listed on IMDb for season 4 cast. So. It is possible. They may have, and we may have missed it. I don't know. Yeah. Or maybe it's just a foregone conclusion.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we're doing a series on her, so we might as well just keep going until we hit present day, if at all possible.
Yeah. I don't know how close they're going to get to now.
Right.
Or if they're going to stop at a certain point, go up to like the Diamond Jubilee or something like that, which would be 2012. So guess we'll have to wait and see. But
and for those of you who haven't started, you've got plenty of time to sit and binge.
I'm raising my hand.
Yeah. And the nice thing is because we've discussed The Crown, previously on the show, is it's not like it's not action heavy at all. Like there's hardly any action. It's just it's a lot of people standing around and talking with British accents. So it's not something that you necessarily need to be like riveted to watch. It's really something you could have on in the background, and if you're not paying absolute attention to it, you would be fine. So but it's just so fascinating. So there's that. That's really our only news, other than housekeeping wise. Reminder: you still have time to enter the giveaway. As of recording this, you've still got 10 days. So we do have entries now. So
yay!
That's exciting. So that means you will have some competition, but at this point, it's not. The odds are still potentially in your favor. So go enter.
Yes. And there is still time to vote for next month's book in the book club. Just a second, I'm trying to, of course it's acting slow. I'm trying to pull up to see if we have a tie or if there's anybody in the lead. Okay, we have a tie. One vote for India's and one vote for Fear of the Dark. So you've still got a little time. Or I can do a coin flip. Whatever happens, happens.
So, all right, moving on to feedback. Speaking of our giveaway, one of the ways you can gain extra entries is to send in feedback, essentially. So we have got some feedback from Tammy Jo, actually, who sent in some feedback. It's a little short thing, but hey, it still counts. And I got her extra entry into the giveaway. So she says, I'm listening to your talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and learned about your giveaway. See, it works. She said, I met Rachel V in conjunction and started listening to your show then. Yes, because I've been on panels with Tammy Jo several times in the last couple of in conjunctions. So she says she likes it, but wish the sound quality was a little better. It tends to waver at least once in every episode. Yeah, which is a beast that every podcaster has to deal with is sound quality, and it's even harder when you're dealing with people that are not in the same room together and have no control over what tech they're using, how good their internet connection is, because we have to do this over the internet. It's like in a perfect world we'd all be in the same place and we wouldn't have to worry about internet, which in itself would help a lot of things. And we could be set up with all the same microphone and, like, you know, noise removal, you know, different tech and all that, and nice headphones so we could hear each other really well and that sort of thing. So, but yeah, having to do this over the internet, just anytime you involve having sound having to travel across the internet, you're automatically kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage because of bandwidth and all that fun stuff. So it does tend to have an effect on the way things sound. But we do our best, and you know, I know that Tammy Jo still listens, so that's good. As long as y'all are still willing to listen, even if the sound isn't 100% perfect. We're very grateful for that.
Yes.
So one of these days we'll get to do an episode all in the same place at the same time, and we'll listen to it and be like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yes.
Indeed.
You gotta plan this more often.
Yep. But until that day, until we have teleportation and we can all just, you know, pop over and be all together.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Unless you have a nicer, dedicated, internet-friendly system for connecting calls.
Yeah.
To do this.
Yeah. She continues, back to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., one of our favorite topics. I love the show, but I struggle to find time to watch it because my hubby, who consistently complains about it but insists he wants to watch it, is a bit lag. When it comes to making time to watch it with me. I've learned threatening to watch and erase it works.
Yep.
If only I could use that same logic with Chauncey. But our stuff, all the stuff that he gets behind on is on Netflix, so I can't threaten to erase it. It's just there, and I just kind of have to poke him and prod him. You know, like this topic specifically. I'm like, dude, you need to get caught up. Meanwhile, he's watching Cheers for the bazillionth time. And I can't threaten to erase Cheers so that he'll watch, you know, something like Stranger Things instead, because again, I can't do that. I have no control over it. Dear Netflix, please erase Cheers, The Andy Griffith Show, and Frasier. I would have enough for.
Or please like the up to black for X amount of days. So
yeah. It's like I know it's like you can limit what people can watch for, you know, if you choose like children.
Right.
I need an option for that for spouses. Or you need like a virtual bar, like the equivalent of a bartender within Netflix. It'd be like attention Netflix subscriber, you have watched this show 10 times. You have been cut off.
Cut off for at least 3 months.
Yes. Let me recommend one of these other shows for you.
Your tab at this establishment has hit its limit.
Yes. So, Tammy Jo, if you have any suggestions when you don't have the option to delete, please let me know. And we also have feedback from Chrissy because she knew she wasn't going to be able to join us this week. But it's long and it essentially dives into this week's topic. So I think we'll just kind of dive right into it. And I guess we can use Chrissy's feedback as our agenda.
Sure. Yeah. that sounds good. We can bounce around.
Yeah. Because I think she covers pretty much everything. So,
yeah. For those of you who haven't figured out, we're talking Stranger Things.
Yes. Season 3.
Yep.
It came out in early July, so at this point, you've had more than a month.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to get spoiled on Stranger Things, go away and come back later.
Yep. So, this episode will be waiting for you.
Yep.
We promise we won't delete it off the feeds.
Yeah. The internet is forever. All right. So, using Chrissy's feedback, she says, "Hello, my dear co-hosts. She says, since I have to work tonight, grumble, grumble, and I will miss sharing my thoughts on the latest season of Stranger Things. Here are my major thoughts and opinions." She says, "I enjoyed the series, though maybe not quite as much as the first two," which I can see that. I think I like this season better than season 2.
Yes, because this one kind of ranks right up there with 1, 2. I just don't know what it was. There was just something a little.
Yeah. Well, because I think this season was more like season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think, where we had the kids teaming up and the adults teaming up, and just kind of the action seemed more like season 1, I think.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. So
yeah.
She says, "First the good. I love Team Scoops." Yes. Team
Great
Scoops all the way.
Same.
She said, "Actually, anything involving Dustin and Steve being awesome together is already a win in my book. But the addition of Robin and eventually Erica was great. So I loved how Robin especially fit so well within their little group. At first, I was afraid they were going to try and force her in and it wouldn't work. I think the fact that she was gung-ho for translating the Russian code almost from the beginning worked in her favor. Even before that, how much she razzed on Steve with all his attempts to flirt with the girls who came into Scoops a it was funny. It also helped that Steve never took her teasing too personally. Yeah, yes. It was a good team up.
Yeah. And then I loved her. "Steve, your kids are here."
Yeah. Like, and how many kids are you friends with?
Exactly. Well, and I love Steve in that kind of dad mode.
Yes,
it works.
Dad Steve.
Yep.
Yes, he took to that role last season, and it's not. I don't think it's ever going away.
No,
there's always going to be part of him. It's Dad Steve.
Yep.
So.
Yes. Writers, please don't take that away.
Yeah. Yeah, and Robin was a good addition. Anytime they introduce new characters and try to make them part of the gang that's already been established from season 1, like last season with Max, where she eventually found her footing and how she fit in with the group, but it was a little awkward at first. Robin, on the other hand, never actually tried to become part of the group. I think it's a difference because Max wanted to make friends, but at the same time she had this kind of attitude and wanted to tease them and that sort of thing. I guess she scared the crap out of them at Halloween. But Robin never really like wanted to try to become part of the gang, as it were, with Steve and the kids. She just happened to be there, and she just fits.
Right.
So she was more just, hey, this is more exciting than scooping ice cream and giving Erica a bajillion tastes, free samples of every flavor that they have at Scoops Ahoy. Although Erica, once again, scene stealer.
As sassy as ever.
Yes, as sassy as ever. I love when she's constantly poking fun of Dustin and her brother and the rest of the guys, calling them a bunch of nerds, but then Dustin get into this discussion, and he's like, you're a nerd too. Just you have your own nerdy things that you're nerdy about.
Hate to break it to you there, Erica, but
yeah.
One of us.
Yes. Like, you may fly a different nerd fandom flag, but at the end of the day, a nerd, if it looks like a nerd, talks like a nerd, quacks like a nerd,
yep.
You're a nerd.
You're a part of the tribe.
Yep. I also love the fact that when Dustin's telling her about all the stuff that they did last year in the previous 2 seasons, and she like totally believes Dustin, except for the part of her brother being
yeah. Exactly. Yep.
It's like, my brother did all that.
Yeah. What you talking about? I don't think so.
Yeah, and actually, Chrissy mentions the same thing. She's like, when Erica gets involved, then Erica gets involved, and again, I was a little nervous about how she would fit in this dynamic. Was she with this bratty little kid annoy everyone? But nope, she held her own. She got knocked down a peg or two by Dustin with that whole "you're a nerd" conversation. This is going to sound funny, but when Dustin got the better of her there, that's when I started to enjoy her character. She wasn't just a 1-0 character. There's this other side of her that made her work. So the same thing when Dustin and Steve told her everything they'd been through with the Upside Down, the Demogorgon, the Mind Flayer. Her could believe all those things that happened, but not her brother had been involved. Joyce and Hopper. So their interactions had some hit and misses, but overall they were pretty good. I do feel like the writers didn't quite know what to do with Joyce this time, since Will, for once, wasn't in danger. After 2 seasons of her being the panicked mother, her motivations of finding out why her magnets kept falling off her fridge felt a little flat. However, once Joyce was back in mystery-solving mode, she seemed like her old self again. Maybe next season they explore why she likes to be in the middle of all this supernatural chaos. I halfway expected Hopper or somebody to call her out on that, but it never really happened. It's true. There's the meme or something to go around. Joyce season 1, where's my son? Joyce season 2, what's wrong with my son? Joyce season 3, what's wrong with my magnets? Yeah. Yeah, she and Hopper, it's such a tropey thing where it's like, oh, they like each other, but they don't want to admit it. And then, she had Bob in season 2, which I like the callbacks to Bob, like justice for Bob.
Yes.
So like anything that may have been between her and Hopper has just always kind of been in the back, but it's always been kind of simmering there. And then this season it's like Hopper definitely like wanted to go for it, and then she stood him up.
Yeah, she wasn't quite ready. And then Joyce's dating advice, or how to deal with a teenage daughter who is dating. was very interesting to say the least.
Yeah. No, but yeah, well, obviously we'll get to how the season ended, but it'll be interesting to see how they involve Joyce and Will and everybody else because of what happens at the end and how that changes, the relationships between people. But at the same time, I don't think Joyce is not going to be around for season 4 just because, she's way smarter than I think people give her credit for. I think she got a chance to show just how smart she is, probably because she's not distracted by Will.
Right.
So, if we can keep Will out of, being the target. I mean, he was still in danger this season, but it wasn't just him. Like, he wasn't the focus of, the one potentially in danger. It's just the company he keeps. They were all in danger. But it was on equal footing other than 11, but we'll get to her. So, if Will can stay away from being the focus of all the peril, then that frees Joyce up to be super mom, essentially, super sleuth mom. So I wonder if she just threw out all those magnets.
Yeah.
I wonder if they fixed once they closed down the the key.
I don't know.
Shut that down. Did all the make the magnets put back to normal? Or really, when something becomes demagnetized, you really can't fix it. It's kind of like a credit card. If you accidentally demagnetize it, there's nothing you can do about it. You have to replace the credit card.
That's true.
It's not like you can remagnetize it.
All right.
So I guess just, I don't know.
No. She's gonna have to get some sticky tape to tape up the picture Super Bob. Let's see. And Hopper says, I got a kick out of Hopper being in scary dad mode with 11 and Mike. So I get where Hopper's coming from. He has a teenage daughter that he adopted, so he never got to go through all those childhood stages with her. But now all of a sudden he has to deal with setting rules about a boyfriend, and he's just not ready for that. So he does it the best way he knows how, by being the chief. Was it the best way to handle the situation? Probably not. Was it hilarious? Sure. Perhaps it reminded me a bit of my own dad in that scenario, though I never had a boyfriend in middle or high school, and most of my dad's threats against hypothetical boys coming over to date me and my sisters were tongue-in-cheek and meant to be in good humor.
Sounds very similar to me and my dad.
Yep.
I never had that. So I guess if I had dated, at a younger age, then maybe, but I didn't. So I never had that. It would have been interesting, though, considering my dad is an ex-police officer. So, although my mom was on the sheriff's department too, and I know my mom could be intimidating to potential boys as well. So I guess my mom played the Hopper role.
Don't make me run a background check on you.
Yeah. So.
And then his fascination with Magnum PI.
Yeah. And the shirts, the floral shirts.
and the mustache. He grew it out a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor and look up Magnum Hopper. Or Hopper PI. That's what it was. Hopper PI. Somebody did an ode to Hopper with the Magnum PI soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's pure gold.
And all of how he's like, that's 11's favorite show. I'm like, no, Hopper, that's your favorite
Your
show.
favorite show. Yeah.
I don't think at the moment 11 has a favorite show. Her favorite show is, let me see if I can stick my tongue down Mike's throat.
Yes.
And vice versa. Yes. That's her favorite show at the moment.
Yes. Yeah, that's my doctor.
But yeah, I mean, Hopper's definitely, it's very obvious that he cares for 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he did adopt her legally, which, you know, he was not going to do that lightly. But yeah, the fact that, you know, he missed out on all of this with his biological daughter, because she, you know, she died so young. So we can assume that he never, you know, really had a chance to deal with the teenage hormones. So it's like he knows how to deal with a child up to a certain point, but then he's, you know, fish out of water. But I mean, really, does any parent know what to do with a hormonal teenager? No,
I don't
not
think so.
really.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
The hormonal teenagers don't know what to do with themselves, let alone the parents. So.
Yeah, sometimes I think, you know, once the parents go through it, they kind of block that portion out of their mind, and it's like, was I ever like that?
Yeah.
Shrug.
Yeah. Like, possibly.
Yeah.
I love how he goes and complains to Joyce, and Joyce is just like, yeah, teenagers are going to be teenagers. I wonder if she would be that nonchalant, though, if it was Will.
Yeah.
If it was her son that
Probably that.
Was, you know, spending all of her time with, glued lip to lip.
I think she's more along the lines of, not my kid, not my circus,
not my monkeys.
Yep, not monkeys. Not my problem, really, but I will sympathize.
Yeah. She's like, I got boys. It's like Will is still wants to play D&D and, you know, do all the things he did before hormones kicked in, and it's like, you know, my older son is got a job, so.
Right. Though the girlfriend happens to be sneaking out the window, but hey.
Yeah, but they're, you know, they're out of high school, so.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're adults.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Let's see. She says, my favorite Hopper moment when he turned Alexi loose and knew that he would come back. And Joyce and Murray are freaking out that he just let their best league get away.
Same.
Like, yeah. Honestly, I was like Joyce and Murray. I thought Hopper was a complete idiot for doing that. The entire scene played out like Alexi was going to run off and go back to his superior. When he backed the car up and told Hopper that Strawberry Slurpee was fine, I loved the look on Hopper's face. While there were some moments in the season where I thought they'd written Hopper a little too much like a bumbling idiot, that was one where I felt they got his character perfectly right. Yeah, I'm with Chrissy. I was like, you know, he's like, what? He's leaving. He's in the car. He started the car. Yeah. He's backing up the car. He's hitting the gas.
One job.
What the heck are you doing? Hopper, then he stops. It's like, oh, okay. Color me surprised.
Well, and then I think with the bumbling too a little bit is, I think he's still a little nervous about this whole thing with Joyce and how to go about it.
Yeah.
He probably hasn't dated in X number of
years.
Very
long time, probably.
Yes. And things have changed.
Yeah. Very much so. Well, and it's like he's got, you know, he's just trying to do his job as the chief. And that's hard enough on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
And then, you know,
and then
he's
the
got
mayor
this,
came in.
yeah, and then you've got, you know, his feelings for Joyce, and at the same time, his conflicted feelings on how to handle 11 being a hormonal teenager. Oh, and then by the way, this whole, you know, the Russians are in town. Yes. And trying to
running a side business out of them all, no less.
Yes. It's like, oh, by the way, all that supernatural stuff that you've had to deal with the last few years is still a thing, and now there's Russians.
Yep. Yeah, and they aren't looking. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot on one person's plate.
Yeah, and they aren't looking for plutonium. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Let's see. And then then she gets into the ending. So obviously, if you're still listening and don't want to get spoiled, turn away.
Yeah.
It's like, and then there's the ending, but I don't think Hopper's really gone, not by a long shot. They do have some explaining to do, but with this show, what it is, and the upside down being a factor, anything is possible. Which, I'm torn on the whole Hopper thing, just because we have had characters killed off in previous seasons and they stay dead.
Right.
Even if they're beloved characters. You know, after season 1, it was justice for Barb, and then after season 2, it was justice for Bob. So part of me is like, yeah, I think Hopper actually could be dead.
Now, who's your theory on who the other American could be?
I think it's the guy that was 11's papa from the program.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because according to the Duffers, he is still alive.
Okay.
Even though we've not seen him recently. That being said, Hopper is not a side character like Barb or Bob.
Right, he's one of the main group.
He's a main cast. Mm-hmm. And to leave 11 essentially parentless again, even though Joyce has taken her under her wing, I think is a disservice to 11, because I think that Hopper is really good for her, and I think they're good for each other.
Yeah.
And David Harbour has said that he's not sure that he's actually dead either.
Right.
So they haven't started on season 4 yet. So
have they even?
And Rachel, go ahead, Brittany.
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Forget what I was going to say.
Yeah, there is going to be a season 4. The Duffer Brothers have said that they envision Stranger Things as 4 or 5 seasons, and that's it. And they've got it plotted out for that. So we should get at least one more season. When? I don't know. Supposedly they're prepared to start production on the next season this fall, but that's just hearsay at this point. So
I wonder what holiday's gonna focus on. I mean, like, first was Christmas, then Halloween. This year's was 4th of July.
They could go do back to school, maybe.
Back to school, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, back to school in a new town.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if they find a way to bring Hopper back, I think I'd be okay with it.
Me too.
If they give a reasonable explanation. Because we didn't see a body. That's the thing.
Right.
But we never saw a body once Barb disappeared. Bob, we obviously saw him get torn apart, but Barb just kind of disappeared.
Right.
So just because there's no body doesn't mean that they're still alive. But because of the explosion and where it took place, because it was right there where they were trying to open the Upside Down, and it was open enough to a point that, yeah, he could be potentially in the Upside Down or something like that.
Right. And I agree with you with the disservice to 11 if, they did. Because, I mean, her birth mom was taken away from her.
Yeah.
And, we don't know about her dad, but if you do one of the first novels for Stranger Things kind of deals with that, and it's a prequel. I've read it, very good. And then there's another one out that focuses on a case with Hopper called Darkness on the Edge of Town, which is absolutely fantastic. So it kind of sets some things up.
Yeah, and the person that she considered her father was, experimenting on her.
Right.
So,
yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see. Season 4, will we see Hopper again? We'll have to wait and see. Let's see. Chrissy says the meh. We've done the good, now the meh. Said, I'll be honest, there was a lot with the main cast of kids that I found either boring or confusing. So bless Sadie Sink, she's a fine actress and does well with what she's given, but I've never really gotten on board with Max in this show. And her big boys suck shopping spree with 11 was just weird. Doubly so when Mike and Lucas and Will are also at the mall looking for an I'm sorry gift for Mike to give to Elle, and they have no cash. But Max and Elle are buying all kinds of clothes and makeovers and stuff. Did Max steal her mom's credit card or something? That's just an 80s trope thing, an 80s and 90s trope, really. That when the mall is a place, a set. That everyone seems to have money. With that.
I mean, people were robbing paintings since the beginning of season 2.
Yeah.
The arcade.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe Max stole some of Billy's lifeguard paycheck. Money. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Let's get her that little teddy bear necklace. It shouldn't cost much. What do you mean, $300 or something? That's small.
Get a quarter, go to those little vending machine thingies where you get the thing in the little plastic egg.
Yep. Make sure you hit the one with the jewelry. There you
go. Chrissy continues, this might be a dumb thing to get hung up on, but I've never understood how teenagers and those are most likely preteens in the movies have so much money to blow at them all. When I was a teenager, I had a part-time job and thus a little spending money. I could afford a t-shirt at the mall if I was lucky. Yeah. I agree. I was the same way. I was lucky if I had enough money to put into my car to get to said part-time job. It might not have been so bad if the episode didn't have Mike mention that he only had $3 to spend on a gift. So there's nothing that he could afford. Basically, the girls got their big mall rat moment and the boys got shafted. I don't know, there's just something about the way they handled Mike and Elle's relationship in the beginning that didn't sit well with me. Not the way Hopper handled things, but how the kids handled the aftermath. I get it, they're kids and they have no idea how serious relationships work. Yeah, that's the truth. And it's even worse for Elle since she's still figuring out how real life works thanks to having been in a science project most of her life. But I'm just annoyed that Max tried to take over her life after accusing Mike of ruining Elle's life and getting Elle to break up with Mike over it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Max forced Elle to do anything that she probably wasn't already thinking of doing.
She was just kind of nudging her over the line.
Just because Elle is so sheltered of how the real world works that she just didn't know how to go about it. So she just knew that Mike had hurt her feelings,
right?
And she needed space and didn't know how to go about it. So Max, and Max knew from apparently the bajillion times that she and Lucas have broken up, and gotten back together, that more than likely Mike would come crawling back to Elle, which he kind of did.
Yeah. At least Max was able to tone down Elle's anger, because that could have gone very wrong.
Yeah, I was saying because Elle was very upset, and she easily could have gone, psycho.
Telekinesis and slammed him.
Fatal attraction on Mike. So
yes.
I don't think she would have, but she could have. She did. I mean, she has the ability to. So
yes.
And it seemed like she was genuinely enjoying her time with Max. It's not like Max was holding her against her will.
No.
So
I mean, she's been hanging out with a bunch of guys and doing stuff. Now she's got some girl time.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think was good for her. So. Let's see. Speaking of Max and Billy, this will make me sound like a terrible person, but I had a hard time sympathizing with Max when Billy died. He never really showed a lot of love or care towards her, and I have a hard time liking her anyway. So, yep, I'm a heartless piece. You're not heartless. I didn't feel that sad when Billy died either, actually.
Same.
So, I mean, kind of redeemed himself, but I mean, when he came on scene in season 2, I had him pegged as kind of the big bad.
Yeah.
That they had to take care of. And then this was season 3 with him getting possessed. It's just like, all right, here we go. Round 2.
Yeah, he's never been that good of a guy.
No.
The entire time he's been in the series, he was a dickwad in season 2.
Yep.
And even before he got possessed by the Mind Flayer in this season, he obviously was able to get himself a job being a lifeguard, but to sweet talking all the housewives, hanging out by the pool, and almost hooking up with Mike's mom.
That's
just creepy.
I was so uncomfortable with that entire bit. Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, this is not right.
Yeah. Yeah. That whole thing, was not kosher at all. And so yeah, he's never really done a whole lot to make himself a likable character. So yeah, he may have had that small moment of coming back to himself and sacrificing himself to save 11, but that does not erase everything that's come before. Exactly. I mean, obviously the stuff he does once he becomes possessed is one thing, but he's got a track record pre-possession that is not glistening,
no,
at all. So, I feel bad for Max, because even though their relationship was not necessarily the healthiest and best, she obviously still cared for him.
Right.
And I think he did for her, even though he's terrible at showing it. And what this means for Max going forward, I guess, is to be determined.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not that sad that Billy's gone.
No.
So this time they killed off a character's name starts with a B, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Barb, Bob, Billy.
I'm not showing too many tears.
Yeah. 2 out of 3.
Well, who knows? We might have hope. You might have something there with the bees there, Rachel.
Yeah. Speaking of Billy, she continues. Speaking of, I'm glad that they gave Billy an interesting character arc, even if it meant he was possessed by the Mind Flayer for most of it. His final stand and subsequent death felt earned, like he'd learned his lesson for the last 2 minutes of his life anyway. So yeah, he might have been a creepy sleazeball, but he had a little redemption. But as far as favorite moments of season 3, it doesn't quite rate that high in the list. Yeah. So, however, I'm trying really hard not to think too much about how Susie delaying the information Dustin needed for that sweet duet might have cost Hopper's life or his freedom at the very least. She had no idea what was going on. Dustin could have been playing D&D and needed some obscure trivia to solve a puzzle in a campaign for all she knew. Yeah. That being said, the duet, a never-ending story.
That was awesome.
That was
adorable. They wanted to show off Gatton's
Susie was real.
Yeah, well, that too. It's like Susie, she's an actual person. She's got Dustin's hat. Did you see that? It's hanging on her bedpost. But they wanted an opportunity to show off Gatton's singing voice, is what they wanted. So
people don't know he's been on Broadway. So
yeah, and that's exactly why they wanted to do that. So.
And also
but that was
check out the James Corden from season 2 when most of the guys with James Corden did their Temptations, their town. It's worth the watch.
It'll be interesting to see how if Dustin and Susie stay a thing, even long distance, and she comes back in the next season. So, because it be fun to have another girl, especially one that's extremely smart.
Or is this going to be another case of Spider-Man Far From Home? It was just a thing.
It was just a summer thing. Said overall this was a fun season, but there were a few flaws that I can't really get over. But those aren't enough to make me dislike the show. I'll certainly be back for season 4. That's all I can think of right now. Said I might send in more later if I think of it, and she must have not. She didn't send anything else. So, but that definitely gives us some good talking points. So, yeah, I mean, it was interesting, and it makes sense as far as the characters, how the team ups we got, because we've got Elle and Mike, who are a thing, dating. Obviously they're going to want to spend as much time together as possible. You got Max and Lucas, who are off and on. So, but they kind of get it. Dustin has been at camp, so he's missed what's been happening, but at the same time he's got a girlfriend, but long distance. And then Will is just Will. It's like, this summer is brought and bringing a lot of changes. Our kid crew they're no longer kids, they're becoming teenagers, and figuring out who they are now as they get older, and how relationships work, not just friendships. And obviously some are, I don't want to say maturing faster than others, but hitting some of those milestones, I guess, if that's even a proper way of putting it, than the others, first kiss, first boyfriend, first girlfriend, that sort of thing. And Will is like, I just want to play D&D. And, Dustin's like, well, I got a girlfriend, but she's in Utah. And we got to climb all the way to this hill so that I can use my radio to try and contact her.
Well, and then he thinks at first, before he comes home, that his whole crew has abandoned him.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Gets a face full of Farrah Fawcett hairspray for his for his troubles.
Yeah. So it's like, you got all this stuff that teenagers have to deal with anyway, but then you throw another supernatural, upside down mystery on top of it, and it's just nuts. This is a Scoops Ahoy Deluxe Sunday with a lot of nuts on top. Obviously the Russians, not that too far of a stretch, because as we learned, the L, along with the other subjects in the study, their telekinetic powers were being tapped into so that they could spy on the Russians, because we're getting into the height of the Cold War here. So having the Russians is not come to Hawkins is not that far of a stretch. But the fact that the Russians know about the Upside Down or want to tap into it, bad news on lots of levels. Especially with the teaser, at the end, where we find out that the Russians are at least still somewhat organized and have at least one demogorgon, that's not completely full grown yet, on their hands. So that's not good.
I could have done without all the rat scenes, but then that's just...
Yeah, this season was definitely the grossest of the three. Rats don't bother me. It's when they were exploding and turning into little puddles of goo, and the puddles of goo would crawl, and it wasn't even so much the goo, it was the squishy squelching noise. The sound effect that they would, just thinking about it kind of makes me want to hurl. And the fact that it went from rats to people, so that this mind flayer could go from being this kind of smoky, wispy thing that it was last season to taking on this more corporeal form of a big, kind of solid thing of goo. It's got legs and arms and other appendages, and could take up the entire space of the food court at the mall. Although I do like when they were fighting it with the fireworks. That was very cool to watch, though. Visually, that was very fun. I liked the setting of Starcourt Mall as a set piece. It was just a nice change of pace and visually interesting enough versus things like the school or the the facility, or cornfields or pumpkin fields in some cases. So the mayor has got a lot of explaining to do.
Yes.
So he is creepy in a different way than Billy, but still creepy. And bless Carrie Elwes.
Yes.
For
he can play bad guy and creepy very nicely.
Yeah, that is it. This is Lightning's take Wesley in Princess Bride and go to the complete opposite direction, and you've got the mayor in Stranger Thing. Although, unless I completely missed it, there is no Princess Bride reference. Easter egg.
I don't think so.
I'm aware of. Every time he was on the screen, I'm like, say as you wish, say as you wish, say as you wish. Like, find some way to work that into the script, and he never said it. Like, really?
Some sort of nod to Dread Pirate Rob. Or inconceivable. Something.
I mean, there's a lot of references, 80s references in this season, which, I mean, they always do. But I mean, we start the entire season with, some of the groups sneaking into Dawn of the Dead. Is that what it was?
Yep.
Dawn of the Dead. So there's let's see here. Dustin's radio is named Cerebro, which is the device used by Professor Charles Xavier in the X-Men. There are the toys that Eleven uses when they go to surprise Dustin. There's a Transformers character, although the one of the Transformers characters is Ultra Magnus, which actually did not make his debut until the Transformers movie, which didn't come out until 1986. So there's a bit of a continuity error there.
I don't know. I was gonna try to sort of think of a theory, but nothing.
Like, I know the toy companies like to release stuff early, but that's a bit too early. There's a reference to Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which came out in 82. When Billy comes out for lifeguard duty, it's the same music. When actually Phoebe Cates comes out of the pool, and Dustin describes his girlfriend Susie as Phoebe Cates, only hotter. And then there's a cardboard standee of Phoebe Cates in the video store.
Yes. Yeah, which Jonathan literally bumps into.
Yeah. Let's see, chapter 2 or episode 2. They call it chapters because they're treating it like a D&D book. So chapter 2 is called The Mall Rats, 3 separate words, but that in itself is an homage to the movie, Kevin Smith movie, Mall Rats, which is all one word. Let's see here. What other notes and homages can we have here? Let's see, the 2 comic books that Max offers 11 are Wonder Woman 326 and Green Lantern 185. Which were both released in 1985. When they trap Billy in the sauna to test him, when he breaks the window, the kid's reaction is genuine because he improvised that, and the glass was not supposed to break.
I love like hearing about these because I just, it amused me so much finding out like this stuff is like, it makes it feel even more real because it was real.
Mm-hmm. Well, and continuing with that, 11 falling into Mike's arms at the end of her confrontation with Billy was not in the original script. When they were filming the sauna test, it was so intense that Millie Bobby Brown actually collapsed and fell into the arms of Finn Wolfhard.
Wow.
But they both stayed in character during the take, so they decided to keep it.
Aww. That's sweet. I like that too.
There's references to the Terminator, or not necessarily references, but like things that would make you think of the Terminator, I guess. And this is one of my favorites. When they go to the I think it's when they're at the house, when Hopper and Joyce go to the house and they go in the basement and they discover the Russians. Yep. And Hopper ends up pulling a gun on the Russian. And he's like, "You're a policeman." He's like, "You won't shoot me. You're a policeman. You have rules." Straight from Die Hard.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed so hard when he said it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Sorry to burst your bubble, but this ain't no typical police officer here.
Yeah. You're a policeman. Policemen have rules. Like, yeah, have you seen Die Hard?
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't sound wrong for you guys.
Well, I guess you can't see Die Hard because Die Hard comes out in 88, so it hasn't been out yet, but still.
Yeah.
Let's see. At one point, Robin has the line, "I'll take those odds." And that is the same line that her dad, Ethan Hawke, says in the movie Gattaca.
Oh, neat.
Oh. And another fun thing is Maya Hawke, who plays Robin, and Winona Ryder, who plays Joyce, have both played Jo in adaptations of Little Women.
Oh, cool.
Let's see here. I don't know if this is right because I'm getting a lot of this from IMDb. So again, IMDb can be 50-50 on how reliable it is. So this says Joyce is able to learn that the name of the captured Russian scientist is Alexei, but Hopper chooses to call him Smirnov. IMDb says that's likely a reference to popular Soviet-born comedian Yakov Smirnov.
That sounds about right.
Which I guess could be, but I hear Smirnoff and all I think of is the vodka.
Same. That's why
I remember Yakov Smirnoff because I used to watch Night Court back in the day, and he made a couple guest appearances on that as a character.
I don't think I'd be able to pick him out of a lineup, but I know Smirnoff vodka, so that's why. That's what I thought Hopper was referring to as the vodka, because he obviously likes to drink. So.
Yeah, that's fine. That was supposed to that like.
So we have to ask the Duffer Brothers on that, I guess.
Yep.
Let's see. The green substance that the group finds in the hidden facility beneath the mall bears a striking resemblance to the ooze that created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, it does.
About 10 years too early, but...
Let's see. Murray's phone number, you can call it. It is a real phone number that you... if you call it, you'll get a answering machine message from Murray that he yells at you for calling.
I'm going to have to try this. I haven't yet.
Yeah. So, but you can't. I'm assuming they've left it up. Apparently, he also mentions Joyce too, in the message. But yeah, you can call it. It's area code 618-625-8313. For anyone that wants to give Marie a call. There's some, let's see, there's a recreation of the score of Day of the Dead that can be heard when Steve and Robin are tied up in the underground base. When Jonathan is trying to break in the room to save Nancy from the mind flayer, the camera movement is similar to when Jack Torrance is using the axe to break down the door to get at Wendy in The Shining.
Is Jen?
Yeah. One of the movies at the theater the kids hide in is The Stuff, which that film also features an amorphous monster. And of course, Eggos make an appearance, as they want to do. And let's see, the final episode is the only episode in the season where Steve and Robin are, one, seen outside of the vicinity of the mall, and two, are wearing something other than their Scoops Ahoy uniforms when they go to the video store to get new jobs. Yeah, Susie's hat from the first two seasons is on her nightstand. The death of Billy marks the third season in a row where character's name begins with B is killed, following Barb and Bob. The song playing as the Byerses leave Hawkins is Peter Gabriel's cover of Heroes by David Bowie. It's the same song as playing when Will's quote-unquote body was discovered in the core of season 1. And it's one of only 2 songs that have been reused so far in the show's run. The other, Should I Say or Should I Go by The Clash? So yeah, let's talk about the Byerses. Since they're talking about the ending here and them packing up and leaving, which Joyce was wanting to do anyway because of the mall. The smaller mom and pop stores were going out of business and hurting the economy of Hawkins essentially. So I guess she thought that she'd have better prospects, job opportunities if she sold the house and moved elsewhere.
I'm surprised she wasn't in the process of trying to move and sell the house at the end of season 1 and the beginning of season 2.
Actually,
You would think. Well, she didn't have Bob.
True.
Well, that's
True.
So, but yeah, the fact that we're seeing Joyce, Will, and Jonathan, and now 11 leave Hawkins to go somewhere to be determined because they never said where they were going, will bring an interesting dynamic to season 4 because we now have that separation of distance, because not everything is centralized in Hawkins, but because of what has happened with the Battle Starcourt Mall and all those people dying, including maybe possibly Hopper, that if we, at the end of the final episode, we get that jump forward, that 3-month jump, and find that what has happened in Hawkins and subsequently some of the other strange stuff that has happened in Hawkins and other areas has now been picked up by the news outside of Hawkins. So it's becoming more known to a broader population of the country. So between the Byerses and 11 leaving, and just all the strange stuff that has been happening in Hawkins becoming known to those outside of the area. And the fact that the Russians are still doing something in Russia that next season is not going to be Hawkins centric.
Nope.
We can no longer just stay within the confines of Hawkins, Indiana. We're spreading out now.
Going international or nationwide, one of the two.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah. Well, and if they keep Susie on as a character, she's in Utah. She's in Salt Lake City or thereabouts. She lives near Chrissy.
Yeah.
And so, you've got somebody that we can presume that Dustin probably told Susie what happened afterwards. And if she sees the stuff on the news, that'll corroborate his story to a point. Mm-hmm. Plus, if she's open-minded like Erica was, she's like, oh yeah, those things happened? Sure, why not? Stranger things have happened.
And then who knows, with Nancy doing this, trying to quote unquote do the reporter thing.
Yeah.
Who knows? She might be one of the, an up and coming female, almost Geraldo type, minus the hype.
Yeah. Maybe something a bit more substantial than what is in Al Capone's vault.
Yes.
What's in Al Capone's glove box? Road maps.
Absolutely nothing. Whole bunch of parking tickets.
Yeah. So, yeah. There's some speculation just from YouTube channels and stuff that I watch that think that maybe because of the now larger geographical spread and because of the the years that each season has taken place in. So now we're in 85. We could presume that next season is going to take place in probably 86 or 87. That we're still in the Cold War to a point. And that apparently in the 80s is when nuclear power became a thing. So that could possibly play into it. Maybe, possibly. So, because we don't really see like the end of the Cold War, quote unquote, till the Berlin Wall gets demolished, and that's not until 1989, late 89. So, so that could be interesting, with if the Russians still want to try to figure out how to tap into the Upside Down with that power or whatever, but now they're not going to necessarily need electricity like they've had. If they could go nuclear instead, what could that do? I also had to laugh because of the jump forward with all the news clips and stuff. That it also mentions the satanic practice. I'm doing air quotes here. Satanic practices while showing the game Dungeons and Dragons, because that's a total nod to what was considered the satanic panic of the 1980s.
Oh yes.
And if you want to not necessarily learn more about it, but if you want to watch a something in a similar vein but terrible as the Stranger Things, watch the movie Mazes and Monsters. It's from the 80s. It's based off a book that was written that's loosely based on kind of the story that kicked off the whole satanic panic thing from the 80s. There's this student in Michigan that in 79 like went missing, and he was suffering from some mental health issues, and of course, you know, in the 70s and 80s and even now, but still back then, you know, mental health was not as well known as a medical subject. So I guess he was suffering from depression or something, and decided that he wanted to kill himself. So his suicide note or whatever they left behind included some of his D&D figurines, and people jumped to the conclusion that that had something to do with it. And his story is kind of crazy in itself, like, because he tried to kill himself, wasn't successful, took off. His parents hired a private investigator that hunted him down, found him, but he didn't want to be found, and essentially told the private investigator to not say anything because he was going to try and kill himself again. And unfortunately was successful the next time around. But it's this whole thing, and this lady wrote this book that's loosely based on this guy's story called Mazes and Monsters. They turned that into a movie in the early 80s, 82, I think, which has Tom Hanks in it.
Now he is like his first big movie or first anything, I think, from what I'm reading.
Yeah. So, but it's a bad movie because I've not actually seen it, but it has been covered on Cult Cinema Cavalcade. They've covered it. And actually, just this most recent episode of You're Gonna Love This or Not, which is part of the Team Geeking Indiana family of podcasts, along with Geeking in Indiana and Social Sci-Fi. Their episode that they just released is their review of Mazes and Monsters, because their episode came out right around Gen Con time, and like, oh, Dungeons and Dragons board games. So, but yeah, it's not the best movie, and they take it's like I said, very loosely based on a true story, because the movie's got like way more like supernatural elements to it. But if you want to see it, it's on Amazon Prime. If you have an Amazon Prime, you can watch it. It's available there. I think it's available for rent via a lot of the usual channels too, like iTunes, I think.
It's free on Vudu. Like they have movies that are free, and apparently it's free on that, according to Google.
Yeah, you just have to watch ads. Kind of like what YouTube is doing with some movies. Watch a movie for free, you just gotta watch ads. So, or you can go listen to those episodes and not watch the movie at all. You can just listen to the episodes of You're Gonna Love This or Not, or Cult Cinema Cavalcade, and get the gist of it there, I guess, if you want. So I can put the links to both of those episodes, podcast episodes, in the show notes as well. So, that's really it for as far as like trivia and any Easter eggs that I know of. Did you guys pick up on anything? Because they put so many Easter eggs and stuff in these.
No, I haven't been able to really like rewatch or anything I picked up. I don't remember.
Yeah, I was like, I don't necessarily remember enough of the 80s. I was a bit too young to catch a lot of those things. So
I wasn't even alive.
Yeah.
When this took place, I was kind of about kindergarten age, so some of the music, I kind of, I remember, but then I had to kind of go and do searches, because I'm just like, wait a minute, because I was a couple of years, I was thinking the songs were actually older that they were used, and come to find out I was a couple of years it was aging them a couple more years than when when they were actually released. I'm like, okay, memory was a little faulty, but okay, yeah, it fits. So I mean, just to hear some of those. I mean, John Mellencamp's ROCK in the USA, REO Speedwagon, Foreigners, Cold as Ice, you know, those, and, you know, and the nods to the movies. I mean, you get the Back to the Future, you get the Never Ending Story.
Star Wars.
Star
the one
Wars.
with the teddy bears.
Yes. The Ewoks.
Like that one movie where Alex P. Keaton's trying to sleep with his mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Steve, you poor uncultured swine. Oh my.
I do have to mention at work recently they played the Never Ending Story theme, and I just started laughing. Like, I wasn't expecting to hear it at work. Like,
It's a fun song. I mean, it's totally 80s.
yeah.
It's very, very reminiscent of the time period that it was released. As far as the song is concerned, and I love the song, but damn it if that movie did not traumatize me, and I don't want to watch it.
Oh, I know exactly probably which scene traumatized you too.
Yeah, because we were all traumatized by the same scene.
Yep.
Mud.
And Facebook loves to keep posting, like, every once in a while I see that post, like, this was what traumatized me as a kid. I'm like, stop reminding all of us. It all traumatized us.
Yeah.
Just give me a scene with Falcor, please.
Yeah.
Give me the happy. I don't need the traumatizing part.
Yep. Like, if I'm going to watch this, I'm going to need some Smirnoff, and I mean the vodka, not the comedian. Maybe mix some in with my Slurpee.
Yes.
Oh, bye. Anything
there
else?
There was Weird Al nod for you, Rach.
Yes, there was. I love that. There were a couple actually.
Okay, I got the My Bologna. What was the other one?
When Joyce shows up to the teacher's place and he's listening to Weird Al in his garage. But when Steve and Dustin are following what they think is one of the Russians, but ends up being the like jazzercise instructor. With the boombox in his bag. Dustin is wearing a Weird Al t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I missed that.
Yeah, it actually right after the season dropped. I guess Weird Al, his people or whatever, his merchandise people, they ended up releasing a print shirt with that design on it for a short limited time. So.
Oh, cool.
I wonder how fast it sold out.
I have no idea. It's the cover to In 3D is what it is his album. Weird Al in 3D. So. Which, of course, Dustin would have a Weird Al t-shirt. Because, of course, Dustin would be a Weird Al fan. It's like, if I didn't like you enough already, Dustin, we are now best friends. Like, I'm all for, other pop culture references from the 80s. Because, yes, Back to the Future, Star Wars, those are all very important things. But cannot forget Weird Al. Well, if any of our listeners want to, if you caught any Easter eggs or references that we did not catch, if there is a Princess Bride reference in there that we just all completely missed and want to point it out to us,
let us know.
Please let us know.
And then don't be shocked if you hear a really loud slap of all of us face palming ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes. With Homer Simpson. don't. And
Yeah.
episode and timestamp too would also be nice.
Yes. Something so that we can find it. That would be great. The easiest way to do that is to go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. From there, you can send us email or connect with one of our other social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can always tag us or send us a direct message on any of those. There is also ways you can financially support us. We have our Amazon affiliate link. So if you want to purchase one of the Stranger Things books or a copy of Weird Al in 3D on CD, or anything, or anything else that's referenced in Stranger Things, pick up a copy of a movie, Dawn of the Dead or something. You can do that on Amazon. Just click on our link first before you do your shopping. We get a little kickback from that. It doesn't cost you any more. And if you're a Prime member and want to watch Mazes and Monsters while you're at it, you can use your Prime membership too. There is also our Patreon. So you can become a monthly supporter on Patreon, and we're always grateful for the people that are willing to give us money on a regular basis. There is also our Ko-fi, where you can give us your money a single time, and our merch, which is on Redbubble. So you can get t-shirts, stickers, all sorts of things with our logo on it, other designs. So you can always make purchases there, and we make a little money off of that too. So we're always grateful for any way you decide to support us monetarily. But of course, you can always help us free of charge by making sure that you rate and leave feedback on if your chosen podcast app allows you to do so. Also share our show with people that you think might be interested in listening. Word of mouth is a podcaster's best friend. And of course, if you do go to our website, make sure to enter our giveaway. You have a little bit more time to enter that. So, and of course, the Goodreads Book Club. You can go vote, join the discussions. Doctor Who. Yay. Plenty of Doctor Who stuff to read.
Yes.
So when Netflix yells at you and say, "Are you still there watching?" and you decide that your eyes need a screen break, you can go read a Doctor Who book and join the discussion on Goodreads. So with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Bethlehem saying goodnight.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. You can't spell America without Erica.
Yep.
Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at the5ishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/fiveishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.